All right. Hey, been a little while since I did a video, so just kind of had word bounce around my head for a little bit. Wrote something on it a long time ago again, so just thought it'd be a good time to read it and see what comes out of it. So usually it just means those are kind of like my little guidance things, I guess, or my little nudges I use sometimes to put out if I feel like there's a concept I can see, or if I feel like I don't know, if it just keeps coming back, then it's like, okay, well, let's see what this is. And I wrote something on it. So it's a funny concept. It's a word that I don't know. It's such a negative word that's used anymore, but I feel like I don't know. I have a different outlook on it. So I guess in this I have a bit of personal experience with it, and yeah, I think I don't know. It's like anything. What do you want to focus on? Like, there's usually two sides to the same word, right? Compassion. One of my other videos, I talk about that. There's two sides to compassion, right? There's like an easy side and like a more harsh side where it's like, okay, one side's okay, I understand, it's all good. Yeah, take your time, no problem, all is well, no stress, no worries, right? And the other side where it's like, okay, enough's enough, let's go, get your ass up, come on, let's go, we got stuff to do, or whatever else you need to get going. It's still compassion. One's just kind of a little soft, one's a little like more like, okay, smarten up, let's go, right? So this word is bully. It's a funny concept, right? Like, it's been around forever. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon, and it's really just like kind of a perception thing. Yeah, it's like it's kind of just individual, right? Like, bullies still have families and friends, and they're good people in some people's eyes. Just like it's this kind of goes along with another concept I've been thinking about too, and I'll make one on it in a little bit. But it's like kind of the concept of like, well, what do you really think you are, and how do you see yourself? Because in someone's eyes out there, from some interaction at some point in your day, you've been whatever your worst fear is probably to somebody throughout the day. Like, you might accidentally cut somebody off in traffic, and now you're the biggest asshole in the world because you ruined this other person's day, or you made them late for a meeting, or like, you have no idea. So being afraid of how people look at you is kind of silly, because it doesn't really matter, because, like, again, you exist in all forms somewhere else in the same existence you're in right now. So anyways, this word bully, we'll look at it. Wrote a couple songs on the top, and one of them's the song Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash. And his bully ends up being his dad because he was named Sue, right? But in the end, he eventually gets to confront his bully and finds out that there was a purpose behind the whole thing, right? There was, I mean, however goofy the story is, it had a purpose, right? It made him into something, which is what his father wanted him to have happen. So it's this weird kind of full circle moment, but it goes through with pretty much any bully story. Anyways, I'll get to reading. Bully, when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force. Why is this person so necessary in life? Most of us have encountered one from time to time, whether being accused of being one or having been a victim of one. I use the quotation marks strategically here. The victim mentality is a sad state of affairs. You are always oppressed, never in control, and by using this mentality, you have provided yourself enough excuses to take all of the weight from your own actions. What does this bully represent? The immovable object, the door, the wall, the mountain, the bear, the dragon, or even your own shadow. This manifestation is your weakness. They represent something you are afraid of inside, or a limitation you have convinced yourself of. You have told yourself you are weaker than, smaller than, less than, or inferior to. This person, or even thing, is your answer to the next stage of life. If you can overcome this thing, then you move on. You step further into the absolute ownership of your life that you're craving. How can we deal with or defeat this impossible effort? I don't think that there's a better way than another to face the monster. You cannot, however, ignore. This just puts your weakness into the background where, like an infection, it begins to seep into other aspects of your life. When I was younger, I had to walk a very fine line. Defending myself led to punishment at home, and inaction led to further oppression elsewhere. Being the outcast is an awful feeling, but it is also empowering. If you can accept that you are the outcast, if you can accept that you are the outcast, already removed and disrespected, then what else is there to lose? I made it a game. I would wear my shirts way too big and tuck my knees up to my chin, arms free, so I would appear essentially like E.T. The bullies would then be free to kick, punch, hit, wrestle. This allowed them to beat on me, get their hatred out, while accomplishing at least two other goals. One, it made me tougher. Showing no response to the pain and pushing through taught myself and those looking to oppress that I was stronger, tougher, and more forgiving than they'd realized. And two, this also allowed myself to strengthen my mind. Pushing through the pain to continue made me realize how little pain mattered to life. It doesn't care. Time continues. Pain does too. So why hide? It essentially keeps you alive. Eventually, the bullies became bored of beating me. Became bored of getting my feedback. Became bored of getting my feedback when a punch was caught or kick blocked, and I was able to tackle, which was my only input into the game physically. This showed me my pain was easily overcome. The only issue with this solution was home. The dirty and ripped clothes were punished. Grounding was okay though, because I would be left in my room alone to play with my Lego, and whatnot. It was an acceptable retribution for my behavior at school, a small price to pay for the perception of acceptance. The bully can be both a blessing and a curse, depending on your mindset. You can choose your reaction. Emotion will lead you to oppression and self-pity. Logic, though, will let you use the passion and fire inside to be better. There is always a bully, someone stronger, bigger, faster, meaner, etc. The wrong tree to bark up. If we look at it properly, the bully shows you where your weaknesses lie, what piece needs to be strengthened. If it is physical, strength and grit. If mental, self-worth and compassion. So many look at the bully as the problem. They project their weaknesses onto a frame that is capable of delivering the growth the subconscious is craving. Rarely, though, can we get an insight into the bully's actual life. Having been from a small town provided me this opportunity to see that the bullies were usually victims in their own right. An alcoholic father, abusive brother, absent mother, etc. The bully is incapable of dealing with their own issues or embarrassment. Lesser emotional beings feeding off perceived weakness and passing on their trauma rather than dealing. I became the sponge and used it to fuel my own growth. This learned perseverance led me places that these bullies couldn't go. Overcome obstacles they can never understand. Pushed me until I broke. I would suppose that it is inevitable to use that much pain and suffering as fuel and not find yourself alone in a corner eventually. The power given, though, I could not utilize to my full potential, to my full extent, because I wasn't provided a full toolbox myself. My parents drank a lot when I was young, and this became my sign of maturity and success. Beer symbolized maturity to me. First beer downrange at maybe it seemed like the age of 10. Can I have a sip? A drink. Can I have a sip? Drink the neck. Drink until you say stop. Every weekend for my entire childhood, they drowned their pain and presented it as joy. This I emulated. It took my anxiety away until I realized that the real bully wasn't the kids beating me up or my parents destroying my psyche, but the bottles I turned to for answers. All my happiest times revolved around the poison in the bottle. So then, who is the real bully? What path do you choose to overcome? Will you let it continue to oppress and destroy you? Or will you teach yourself that the pain is nothing and freedom from the bully is the only true solution? Use the pain it has put you through to push the clouds away and let the sun shine. You need to choose to be the immovable object. You need to choose, though. Don't let the bully trigger emotional responses. Use the bully to find where your weakness lies and overcome it. The bully has and will be around until the end of time. Why must this archetype survive, though? It exists as the filter, to show the rest of the group, tribe, or team where the weakest links are. The bully will attack any opening, watching and waiting for them to show up. When weakness is observed, they act. Names, tricks, pranks, jokes, etc. begin to be deployed to exploit this crack. Society has begun to do itself a disservice as we have sheltered the weak and feeble and allowed them to be the ones in power. They are the leaders that we despise today and the sowers of the lies. They aren't strong enough to succeed by their own abilities and must therefore destroy the stronger, meaner, more aggressive persons and ride on the coattails of others. What we should be doing, though, is observing, assisting, and guiding their growth. The bully is not infallible here either. The person, so I guess essentially what I was trying to say in the other one was like the victim of the bully, right? We've held on to them for too long and let them guide what should be done with the world. and we've ended up just kind of like allowing them exist, and now we look at them and go like, why, how did you get there, right? The bully is not infallible here either, though. This person usually is passing on their own pain and oppression, as they are most likely the downtrodden in their own way. They need to be helped along the way, but it is essential to hold on to the victim and the perpetrator together, as they are both projecting onto each other. Victim may be a reminder of the pieces the bully hates about themselves, or perhaps even their own internal suppressed pieces they're afraid of or ashamed of. The victim may also be a projected likeness of their oppressor themselves. Bully is also the projection of the victim, of the victim's monster, an internal piece they are afraid of or have been forced to suppress, a likeness to parental figures, siblings, friends, or personalities that clash with the victim's wounds and sting where they might not be aware there even is a wound. That hurt should be examined. Why does that sting? Why do I react? It is too familiar, a weakness that has been exploited before or just newly discovered. Rather than focusing on the perpetrated pain and suffering, this hurt can be a clear sign where growth is needed. Does a name sting or cause a physical reaction? Why? Does the oppressor physically bring pain to you? Why do you let it hurt? Is it enough to stop you in your tracks, or can you continue? These should be the questions both parties should be asked. Both parties may realize they are more alike than they would like to believe. Similar wounds are shared, they are just unaware and unable to view beyond their own individual feelings. They blind you and pull you from the real work that is needed. The solution isn't to remove the object in your way, but to learn how to maneuver through or around it. Become the unstoppable force. Yeah, so it's kind of, I guess the idea is like, I don't know, in my experience, whenever there was somebody I looked at as a bully, right? Why is that guy or person, could be a girl, woman, like kid, can be anybody, right? Anybody who makes you like react a certain way. Like, whoa, wait, whoa, hold on a second. Why is that causing me to react all of a sudden? Like, where's this like spontaneous rage, right? Where am I triggered from? And usually once I can ask that, I can realize that like that person doesn't really actually have anything to do with the way I feel in this moment, right? That is like something that happened to me, a repeated moment from a childhood or repeated moment from something, a result I didn't like, or a feeling that I look back on and said like, oh, I wish I had acted differently. Usually that instant trigger is my like body's response of just like right the wrong. Like, boom, here it is. That's another, here's a repetition, right? Here's another one. Here's a chance, another opportunity to correct that action. Because those moments where you look back and you say, next time I'm going to do this. That's what I find, right? Is like a trigger is like, whoa, that's one of those times in my head where I said like, I'm going to make sure I do this next time this feeling comes up or this opportunity is at hand, right? And that's the way I started to look at the bully. And man, alive, you can learn so much, like, by just being able to accept that, like, there's something that drives from the inside, right? Like, your bully might be someone that you actually, like, are secretly admiring almost because they are free to do something that you can't do, right? They're free to express themselves in a way you can't. So you look at them with envy almost now, where it's like, fuck, I wish I could do that. I hate that person. Now, anytime this person talks to me, they're just a jerk because they're a faster runner than I am, right? Like, really easy to turn somebody into a monster that doesn't actually exist once you realize that, like, oh, there's something about them that I actually secretly wish I could do, or I'm upset with myself about almost, I guess. And again, this is just like my interpretation of it. And that's why, like, sometimes the victim and the bully, like, the best way to understand why someone bugs the frig out of you is usually to go talk to them. And if you can be honest with them and communicate and say, like, hey, man, what's up with this? Like, this drives me crazy. Like, do you just not like me or whatever? Most people, like, most of the time you'll find out that, like, what drives you crazy is that people usually aren't even aware of it necessarily. And if they are, then they're just people that maybe you just don't need to talk to. But by confronting them in a calm way and not just turning them into this beast in the background that's out to get you and destroy every aspect of your life, you can learn something from them, right? And it kind of goes with one of those, like, facing your fear things, like, and it doesn't have to go to violence either. Like, it doesn't have to end in a fight or a confrontation. Like, civility is great. That's why emotions got to be kind of let aside, because logic will get you, like, you can logic your way in and out of trouble, right? You can think yourself into a problem, and then think yourself out of the problem. But emotions, you're just along for the ride. Like, you're just kind of like, oh frig, what? How did this happen? Right? How did I get there? Like, how did this result come out of this? And because you're just blinded by this like instinctual emotional outburst that's just pulling you in a direction, and you can't control it. I've been there. I have those issues. Like, I got, I've been so pissed off that I've blacked out before, and like, it's not fun. So learning how to like understand it and like read into what it is that makes that thing happen, and what it is, the root cause of that, is then like how to avoid that, right? And not how to avoid it, but how to stop it, understand it, and then not have it happen as often anymore, or be able to catch it and recognize it when it does. Like, that's kind of the whole point of looking for understanding, is to be able to catch things that you dislike and then try to change them. If not, you're just always looking back going, fuck, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. Man, I wish I had done this. Like, shoulda, coulda, woulda all day, man. That's, you can't do it, right? It's impossible to look back and try to change what's already happened. All you can try to do is recognize where you're at today and try to change tomorrow, and then like an inch at a time, right? Like, an inch at a time. You can't curl 200 pounds until you have curled 10 pounds, right? Like, it just doesn't happen. It's a weird analogy, but it's so true, right? You have to start somewhere. So like, just find where you're at today. If you're having a hard time, write it down. Like, I suck at writing stuff down, but I try. But just like, write it down. Find where you're at today. Once you can figure out where you're at today, then you can kind of get a grasp on where you want to be and what you don't want to be there anymore. And that's how you start to move ahead, right? Like, that's how you go forward, by looking forward. You can't look backwards and expect to change the past, because, like I said, yesterday has already happened. You woke up today. Now we got to work on tomorrow. So anyways, yeah, bully. Hope you like it.